Hey everyone, welcome back to another 31-minute podcast. Morning, Jordan.
Morning.
You look nice and got a bit disco today.
Bit disco, black and blue.
Like those tops, they're like a bit 80s, sort of John Travolta top.
Well,
I like them.
I walked in, I thought,
I'm
I was
being
like,
critical.
I was like, that's a nice shirt Jordan's wearing. I quite
it
like
is
it.
a nice shirt.
I just need to get it a little bit fitter.
Fitter?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like they'll fit better. Yeah, no, they're good.
Hey, morning, Jaxson.
Good morning.
We'll talk about Jordan's fitness in 2 minutes. So it's been a big week.
Very
I
big.
hope I don't cry on this one.
No, you should be right. I
Yeah,
think
I
you'll be
think
okay.
so. I don't know
I
if
think
any
you have
tears left,
Any
actually.
tears left, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, been a big week.
Big 2 weeks, hasn't it?
What's it been?
I
10 days or
don't
something?
even know. It's like, I
No,
felt like it's
like a
been
bit of a
2
blur.
months. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously we had Logan's funeral the other day, and we had, what else? How are you going with it all, Jack, as well?
Yeah, I'm all right.
Yeah.
I think I'm all good. And then like, it's like, yeah, even for the funeral, I was like, I made that video. I watched it about 10,000 times, like over and over and over. I was like, all right, there's no way I can cry to it anymore. And then like when it was on the big screen, it's just, it's just been really tough.
Yeah, I was trying to hold myself very steady because there's a lot of tears like leading up to it, and then when they rolled the coffin out, it was too hard.
Yeah, so I just kept, every time I looked over at you, I was like,
Don't know.
I keep crying. Yeah, it was like,
I was trying to look at the ceiling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, it was really hard.
I think everybody was a bit of a mess.
Yeah, you were all right, were you? I didn't.
No,
I
I was
didn't look to the right. I didn't look at you or Dino. I just
No, I was a wreck. I could hear Trev behind me, and
yeah.
it's just sad. It's sad seeing like you boys and things, and Paris and all the family. It's just
Paris did so well.
I was so
singing.
proud of her. I
Yeah.
texted
I
her the
don't
next
know
day
how
saying, "You're so brave for doing that.
Yeah.
Like getting up there and singing."
And
not
the
a
first
natural
out of the
speaker.
gates as well. It's like
Yeah.
she did the first thing. She sung that song. Oh my god, I couldn't.
She always surprises
I
me.
don't know how she did it.
No, I always go like, not that she's bad. But every time she sings, I go, whoa.
Like a different person.
Yeah, it's so weird. But I don't ever expect her to be that good. And then every time she does it, it's like amazing. Even with your wedding as
She's a
well.
very good singer.
Well, you know, when she was young, and her mum is the same, but when she was young, she could listen to a song and then play it on piano. Or she still can now, not just because she was young, but she hasn't really had piano lessons and stuff, like a little bit from her auntie, but that's about it. It's like she just, something
Good
with the
music.
Coulsons and that's Karina's maiden name, the Coulsons and music, that they're also.
That happened last night as well. I told Pop I liked this song and he literally, as he was listening to it, he just started like playing it while he was listening to it.
Yeah.
Very
amazing.
difficult, yeah.
Got a good ear for it. So let's talk about, why don't we talk about where we're at? I've got a couple of other things because I do want to talk about life as well, other things not to do with this, but it's probably a good bit to talk about where to from now, you know?
Because I said to you, we've been like, you've wanted to work a little bit, you've wanted to talk a little bit. We've sort of just been, when we're working a little bit, when we're talking a little bit, we're talking a little bit. But
Yeah.
you said, I think we should start getting back on track a little bit, slowly. And I said, sure, you're ready to do that? And you're like, I just need to get my mind busy a little bit now.
Yeah.
Which was interesting, like, to hear from you.
Well, I found the whole thing I've been through some hard times in life, like very difficult and painful times. But I can honestly say nothing compared to this pain. Like even the morning that he died, Paris rang me, and then I missed a call from Paris at 6 o'clock in the morning or something.
It's like 10 past.
Yeah, and she doesn't get up early. And then Jaxson called me like 2 minutes after, and then Jaxson said, call me now. I knew Logan had either killed himself or was dead, one of the two. I knew it straight away. And I was like, wow. So then that journey along is like, you sort of go, well, life sort of like blows apart a bit. And then but the thing that I noticed mostly is I had to stay, and I didn't stay steady. I tried, but I had to stay steady for the other kids. Because everyone's there, like totally unsure what to do. You know, like they're all like going, well, what the hell, you know? So now after
But how does that happen? Are you like completely fractured at home in a dark room on your own, and then in front of the family you're like okay, I'm going to help lead us through this, or are you like breaking down in front of the whole family so they can see that like we are all the same, and then come on guys, we've got to go this direction a little bit? Like it's
a bit of everything, you know, people contact us all the time, like we have all these answers of life and things like this, but you know, and how many times have we been contacted about grief and loss, and I'm like, yeah, and I shoot them back a message and this and that, blah blah. All I was thinking about is I had to find my feet. I just had to find my feet somehow, because it knocks you for a six. Like, shivers. That's like, because even growing up, like I spent more time with Logan than any of these kids.
Yeah.
Like probably in the adult life, more time with Jaxson. But because you had to take him to the beach every day and had to be out there surfing with him every day and teaching him and learning. Like, because in the surf, you can't just leave kids do whatever, because like
you have to be there,
drown or whatever. Yeah. So it was like we spent so much time, and then I'm like, wow, it's just a bit so final, like a bit so like, and then everyone, they didn't act differently, but everyone needed more. Some people needed more attention. Like Jaxson went into his shell. Yeah. Completely went into his shell, just didn't come out of his house pretty much. He didn't want to. And I'd go past and he'd be on the lounge and I'd be like, so I just left him. You know, like, well, we talked every day, but I just let him do things his way. And then Phoenix was, I don't know how to explain Phoenix. Like he was trying to process it in his mind, but then really, everyone was upset, but really different to you.
I think so. I think because the way it happened, it's like Logan and I weren't talking. Like when it happened, like it was more of like for me, it was more of a regretful thing, but for Phoenix, it was more of I've lost like a really good mate.
Because they became very close as they got older.
The end, yeah,
they hated each other when they were younger, but they became very close. Yeah. I didn't hate each other, but they used to fight all the time. Like Logan would keep wearing Phoenix's clothes, and Phoenix is like such a OCD type of neat person, and Logan was the absolute polar opposite. And then, so I think everybody, what I noticed, everyone was like, what should I have done different? All of us, me included, like
everyone was, even like uncles and stuff. When I heard that, I kind of put me more into I wasn't blaming myself as much. Yeah. But it was more like, because I was like, what, they're even blaming themselves. I was like, do they even have anything to do? And then I was like, in my brain, there's just, you can't explain it or process it really. It's like when it first happened, it felt like what depression would be like. I didn't want to eat. I couldn't leave my bed. And it's slowly, it's kind of getting better every day. But then you go right back down in like an instant, and then you're back up to normal. It's like it's this big roller coaster of you don't really know how to deal with it.
Yep. And we're not saying this from a motivational perspective. This is like,
we're just talking about it.
Yeah, like we're not trying to motivate anybody right now about anything. It was a very interesting thing to watch, you know, like the little kids, because I've got, you know, Bay and Flora. Flora was like, wow, this is weird. You know, like this is like, what's going on? Like and Bay was really sad. Like it was like, so we had to take Bay out on boys' days and things like this to just try and, I guess what I felt is my job out of that is just help everyone try and find their steadiness again in their own way. Yeah. You know, like come over for dinner. I had Karina, like Logan's mum, over for dinner. I haven't spoken to her for a few years. Like it brought a togetherness that hadn't happened for a long time. But it's sort of I saw everyone needed different things in different ways. Yeah. I think that was the biggest thing I took out of it, because it's fine for me to say, oh, just go and push on a bit and he's still with you or whatever. It just means nothing, like saying all that if they're not ready for that. Yeah. Like if I said to Jaxson, I'll just go for a run or something, he couldn't even get out of his bed, like you said. You know, he was just sitting on the lounge. So you just got to let him be like that. Yeah.
And there's a lot of different griefs like that I could see from my point of view. Like if somebody that's 90 years old passes away, I think people can digest that a little better. Like it's sad that that's the end of the life. But it's like, well, we had all that time a bit, but when it's a young person, it's very different.
It is. Look at the paddle out. There was hundreds of people there, and
hundreds.
The kids and well, kids, they're men now, but you know they were just so affected by it all. It was very interesting, to watch. So, but one of the things is, what do you do now? Like, we've had the funeral and the paddle out, and I've been really sort of thinking a lot, like, how do you move forward and put it in a place, sort of, to manage it? Because I don't think it'll ever go away properly.
No way.
I think it'll be there. But so now, I saw a great video from Logan's stepdad. I've got two stepdads, but Richie and Kieran and Richie are both legends. Richie's the stepdad after me, and then there's another one, Kieran, the footballer. They're both fantastic guys, so good. And Richie sent me this video about 3 or 4 days after, like, he died, and then it was talking about turning pain into purpose, and it was really stuck in my mind. He's like, the guy was saying, and it's sort of like where we are right now. So we've got a choice, like, we've got a choice now. What do we do with it? Like, we've all got pain. You've got pain. You're sitting there at the funeral, and you knew Logan very well. You have pain. Jaxson has pain. I do as well. And it's like, what do we do now? So I think I'm going to use that pain as an energy source, really. And I'm going to try and make the next window of time, the best it physically can be. Because the choice is, Jaxson could still be in bed now. Like, that's the choice. Do you curl up in a ball and not perform because Logan's at a different place now? Or do you use that and say, okay, not exactly what I learned from that, but like, as in, what do I do with it? What do I do with it? And that's exactly where I'm at. I went to the factory yesterday and trained. I'm like looking at life, and I'm like, well, okay, what does it mean for me now? Like, what does it mean for Jaxson? What does it mean for the kids? We're definitely closer because of it. Fixed a lot of cracks that were there. But one of the things is speaking. So like, I'd say no to 50 speaking engagements a year. You know why? Anxiety. Like, anxiety. I get anxiety because I'm like, what if I don't speak well on the day? This is what happens. As soon as I get, and this is not so much about me, it's about my thought process.
Yeah.
And these guys as well. But like, it's been a real blockage of mine. And people would ask me to speak, I'd instantly say no. No reason, just say no. Because I'm like, well, what if I don't speak well on the day? What if I don't feel like good on the day? What if I lose a listing the day before and I'm like a bit unsteady because of it? And I've made a decision in myself to say yes now. Like, let's speak.
Yeah.
Not just about this particular topic or anything, just more like, take the opportunity while it's there. It's really made me sort of say, listen, you pussy, get out there and do more. That's probably what it's done for me. And I'm like, okay, let's take life by the horns and see where we go.
Because do you feel you can go either one way or the other?
Totally.
There's almost no middle ground a bit.
Yeah.
It's like, we're slowly going to go this way.
Yeah.
Or like, in 2 years' time, my whole life is just going to be nowhere and I'm still going to be feeling the same.
Tell you what, there's a lady, right, that I dealt with probably 15 years ago. Her son died. I think he killed himself as well. But his son died, and I dealt with her for years after. Every day, she'd have the same story going on. I'm talking, this is years after, like, say 5 years after. She was depressed, talking about her son every 5 minutes, and keeping herself stuck there. Like, stuck. And I remember her house was in Anniversary Avenue, and keeping herself so stuck there, it was just so depressing to be around. And I used to leave the house, just be like, oh my goodness, like, she's just in that moment. And you're right, like, you can stay like that because every moment you've got a choice. Like, what do I do now?
Yeah.
What do I do now? Am I ever going to bring Logan back? No. Am I like... So I'm talking about the kids we're talking about frequency and listening to Esther Hicks and all this sort of stuff. And Phoenix yesterday in the car, we were talking about Esther Hicks, and she was saying when you're on a similar frequency, you can hear them. And Phoenix goes, I can't hear him. And I'm like, well, man, maybe watch a few more videos. And Phoenix is a very logical guy, like super logical. He's like, well, I can't hear him. I'm like, well, maybe you're not on the right frequency. Maybe we need to learn all about it. I don't know. Like, what can we do? And so what is the opportunity? Not the opportunity in that, more like for ourselves. What do we do with it? You know, do we stand up and rise like a phoenix and say, I don't mean phoenix, but rise like a phoenix and say, okay, let's give this life a shake. It's definitely been a slight wake-up call for us.
Can I ask you something? You have been through a lot, like in your life, like with dad and then mum moving away and sister and coming from the underworld and then trying to not be a drug addict and then build a business. A lot of people don't do 1/10 of that.
Yeah.
But like that lady, for example, she may not have been through anything like that and had to work herself through. So how would somebody do that if they didn't have... Your mindset's very different because you've got all the scars from along the way. But that lady that you're saying, she probably didn't, and she probably doesn't have anybody around them. That's why they get stuck, because they can't lead themselves out, but they've also got no one around them to help lead them out too. That's probably like the average person that gets caught, whether it's loss or grief or lots of different things. Like we see it at work sometimes when people miss business and stuff. 2 weeks later, they're still talking about the listing.
Yeah.
Can't believe I lost that listing.
Yeah.
Like even things that small.
It's a good point you brought up, because I'd love to hear from Jaxson as well. But it's a good point you brought up. So Logan's death is big. You know, it's only on a podcast a few ago, we were just talking about how he's just gone off track. You know, like it's a big thing, like huge. And I don't mean to compare it in any way, but people can have a disappointment in life, like you say, and get stuck there and talk about it, talk to their friends about it, wake up thinking about it, complain about it, be there, don't let it go, bring it with them, blah, 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 that they can. Could be anything. Could be like losing a job, could be the divorce. How many people get divorced and 2 years later still fighting with their ex-wife, and 3 years, 4 years later still fighting with their ex-wife in court and all this sort of stuff? Like,
yeah,
like
that's
all
the
this.
same. People go one way or another. You've
All
got
this.
somebody that's there 3 years on.
Yeah.
They look terrible. They're still flagged that moment's changed my life. I'll never be the same. And then you've got the other people like they've lost 30 kilos, look like a completely different person, have changed careers.
Yeah.
Or they go one way or another
Yeah, for
from
sure.
that point. It's
Yeah.
very interesting like how that happens. Why there's such a difference in path.
Absolutely. And it's what you choose to draw the energy from. So like now, that pain into purpose is the best saying ever. Like I'll never get over the pain, ever. Like that phone call from Jaxson, the whole thing is like the worst. Like it's worse than being homeless. It's worse than getting divorced multiple times. It's worse than any of that. It's probably even worse than my sister dying, but she killed herself. And then it's probably even worse than that in a way because I'm closer to it. Like my sister and I didn't, when we got into adults, we didn't really speak very much. And it's sort of a bit different. Like it's probably the worst pain I've ever been into. But even to watch your kids go through it, you know, that's worse and worse. Like they're here, he's not. And Jaxson, Phoenix, Paris, Bay, Flora, Jet, Tiano, all of them, it's all like watching how it's affect them, and you can't do anything. Like you can't say, hey, I'll do it for, like I'm the king of fixing stuff for them. You know, like that's my whole purpose in life.
Fix.
You can't fix the thing. You know, watch Jaxson literally. I'm like, I said to Tara, I don't know how Jackson's going to go here because I could see it in his eyes. And, you know, Jaxson was like, he's a sensitive kid. And I'm like, I said, I don't know how he's going to go with this. But to his credit, he's sort of pulled it together. You know, and it's like, and we had to stand by him and like, Jack, you all right? Every day I'm like, are you all right? What do you want to do? Do you feel like doing anything? Do you want to have dinner tonight? I even said to him, come like sleep in Flora's room. Don't sleep in your room. Just try and keep him a little bit energetically different. But, you know, how did you sort of process it, Jack? Like, how did you, like, as a brother?
I don't know. I think...
And you and Logan were probably the closest growing up.
Yeah. I think I've just had to choose, like, make my choices right over the last, like, not drinking and stuff. That was probably the biggest thing.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to. But I could see how I already felt so bad. I could see that if I was hungover the next day, how much worse I'd feel. So that wasn't even on the table for it. And then I think obviously having you there, that's helped a lot. And then Mum and then Nan, and then being able to kind of be with everyone for a bit. Not too much though. I think too much of being down there really made it worse. So it's like
When you say down there, like your mum and nan and all that were hanging at the home.
yeah, like they just sit at the house all day and talk about him. And
Yeah.
like I could do a little bit of that, like an hour and a half, and then but it's like when you always say protect your energy. It's like that. I was sort of that. It's like then I'd have to go to the gym or I'd have to go for a walk or something, and then it was just like a bit every day, and then slowly over time, and then the funeral was really nice, and like I felt good after, and then the paddle out was really nice. The only thing from there, it's like now after I sort of
Been empty?
bit empty. It's like it was all such nice few days, and then now it's like now he's just gone. But obviously now talking to you, it's like turning that pain into purpose. It's like now I just got to focus on training, and then now slowly getting back into work. And I don't know, like I'm okay, but I think if I did things differently during the last week and a half, it could have been worse. Like it would have been bad if I completely stopped training and then started drinking and all that kind of things. I think it's just the choices you make in that 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's well said. And I think that's right. Like it's just baby steps again, and sort of like what is the next best choice, rather than thinking, I'll go after this or go after that. It's like, what is the next best choice? What is the next best choice? Like at at work. Like I think I didn't get any negative comments yesterday about the story, but I got one or two that were like, "Oh wow, already," that sort of thing. But for me, I'm like, okay, it's the next best choice. Like, do you feel good after your workout? Yeah, you do. Is it a way that I can keep myself like moving forward a bit? Yeah, I am. And do I have no feelings around it? No, I don't. It's sort of like, what is that next? Just now, what's the next best choice? From here, what's the next best choice?
But having a bit of normality makes you feel better. Like being able to go and train, being able to smile, being able to do a bit of work. Like editing yesterday for me, like I was like, oh, this is what it's like to be normal again.
Yeah.
It's good. Like too much of it, I can see how it can overwhelm you. Like if I sat behind a computer all day and edited, but just like getting back into it slowly, it's like, what do they think you're going to do? Just lay in bed for the next 5 years? It's like you need to start moving forward a little bit.
Yeah, because there is a formula, I reckon, for happiness in general. So, and I just went back into that, like the breathing, the ice bath. I didn't really feel like it. Like I didn't do any breathing, didn't do any of that stuff during the whole week and 10 days while I was trying to find my feet again. But now I'm like, well, bit by bit by bit by bit. It's like Jaxson said, drinking's the worst thing you could do. It's whether it's this or life, it's the same thing. Yeah. Like so now I'm like, it's probably given me a little bit of a push along. I think I was getting a bit complacent before, just a little bit. Like I was a bit like, wasn't really striving for anything in particular. Like sure you say you want a jet, but that's fine. That'll come at some point. But the journey, I really, if I look back, I think the best part of life has been when I've been building stuff.
Yeah.
Not having achieved it. It's when I've been building it. And in this sort of way, it's been a little bit of a wake-up call for me. It's like, we'll make the next 10 years phenomenal, and don't, like, every day be working towards something that's super meaningful, like, for myself. Like, what is that? Like, work? I think work, we got into a point where I could just cruise a bit. And now I'm like, well, if I'm going to spend time doing it, let's do it really, really well. Let's see what else we can do. Let's see how far we can take this thing.
Yeah.
I think if there's one thing out of this, I've been like, yeah, it's given me extra fuel, and people, might think, oh, it's only been a week or 10 days. It's not very long. But for me, it is. Like, for me, I'm like, well, now's the time. The choice time is now. Am I going to rise and use this pain as fuel, or am I going to let the pain almost rule me and limp along for however long it's going to take?
Yeah.
And that's how it felt. For the last 10 days, I was limping hard. I'd like broke an ankle, like trying to walk.
I feel like you can limp along to the next best choice.
You can. You can. Yeah, absolutely. But I don't want to limp.
Yeah.
Like, I'm literally gone, can't do anything about it, would have done things differently. I'm sure we all would have done things differently, even you, Jordan. Like, if you had an inkling, you'd be there in a flash with him. We could have all done those things differently, but so what do we do with the pain and the energy? Because it's the same thing, whether it's pain or happiness, it's an energy force. Yeah. It's the same thing. So I have to find that place. Like Phoenix said on the phone yesterday, Dad, I have to create it looks like I have to create an appreciation box inside of me and put it in there. I'm like, that's a good way to look at it.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he's been like thinking and thinking and thinking. And then, you know, you can rationalize it all you want as well. Like, oh, you know, he's with us now and he's not. Like, he's around, like, somewhere, but it's like he's not sitting here with us, like, laughing, being an annoying, unwashed, sandy feet kid. You know, he's not. But it's like, so we can rationalize. But the reality is there's been an overflow. There's been an effect. So what do I do with it now? Like, literally. And I don't want to waste a day. You know, I don't want to waste a day. He lived to 20. If I can get to 90, I'll be really pumped. And so what sort of an example am I going to set for these kids? I want them to look at me and go, you know, I'm sure it hurt, Dad. Like, my mum's a good example. When my sister killed herself, I don't think my mum ever recovered. My mum lives on top of a mountain with a partner by themselves in the middle of nowhere. I could do that. I've got that in me where I could literally just go, I'm tapped out.
Yeah.
I'll go live in a hut somewhere. I was watching a show on YouTube the other day, just behind here on the thing, and it's a guy who lives in a hut in the Siberian forest with nothing around, zero, nowhere, nothing, not one thing. The nearest thing is about 30 plus kilometres away, just a thing.
Got 2 dogs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's snowing. It's the most harshest environment. And I'm not joking, hand on heart, I said to Tara, I could do that. I'd be real happy. But I'm like, well, I could do that, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to see what life really can do for everyone. And I know every single one of these kids, sure, Logan and I were a bit strained in the end, definitely. And that's why I think, oh, I could have done this, could have done that, la, la, la. But I needed him to do life. He was an adult. He wanted to do life himself. You can ask Jaxson. He just didn't want to be told. And as much as I told him, the further he'd fight or move away, you know, like he'd be like, don't tell me, I'm doing life the way I want to do it. And that's fine. But it's like every single one of these kids I know is looking at their dad going, what's he going to do now? You know, and I think if there's something I want to leave behind at some point, I want them to go, you know, that hurt, Dad, but he did this. So as an example in life, my dad became even better because of it. Life became better because of it. I don't need to say what a success because of it, but his purpose became deeper because of it. Yeah. You know, rather than retract, see kids, I'm out of here, going to get my 2 dogs and go live in the Siberian forest. Good luck with things. No, I could easily do that, you know, and be blissfully happy, you know, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to.
No McGrath out there.
No McGrath. But, you know, you have a choice. You can retract or you can expand.
I think the biggest thing I've taken from it is like how important family is, though.
Yeah.
I didn't care about it. Like even Sarah, like she goes, "Oh, you're going to go do dinner with?" Like I was like, "No." I was like, "I just want to go train or this and that and whatever." But now I'm like, I probably should make a lot more time for family because now it's like you're just thinking it's like, no, I can't. Like with Logan, and it's like now I really want people to know I'm there and that sort of thing. Which what you do now, I'm sure too. It's like, even though you were still doing family stuff before, it's like now in my brain I'm like, oh, like I won't miss like George's birthday there, or I'll make sure I get Phoenix a nice birthday present. It's like, I think that I kind of want to leave that mark as well. Like, oh, Jaxson really cared about his family, because I don't think I realised I did until this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do understand. I do struggle with the family side of things.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what it is, but I do. It's just that I like providing for everyone.
I think it's because
that's a bit of my currency.
You didn't have that growing up.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like a bit of a. I can see what you're saying, but I get like really like. I have very short ability with family things. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. I don't mean as in like, oh,
no,
let's all sit.
I agree with you. Maybe you need to teach me, Jack.
Yeah, well, I don't like, I can't go sit at like Max Beach all day with everyone on picnic blankets and whatever.
Basket.
But like before, I wouldn't even go to think about going to a dinner at Nan's house, or I wouldn't even care about getting Phoenix a birthday present, or I wouldn't like even this bungalow thing. Everyone's going to bungalow for Christmas. It's like they keep everyone's asking me, and I'm like, oh, like maybe I'll like see how I go, but I'm like, I really probably should because I feel like. I don't know. What if I died next week?
Oh, absolutely.
Something like that. It's just, it's
Don't
really
do
put
next week. Can you just do it later than that?
It's really put a perspective in my head of like, wow, like it's gone. Like he's gone. I'm like, all those things, like it would make like regret. You just want to do things differently in my head. And I'm like, I really want to do as much. I can't explain it properly of how I'm thinking it. But
You
it's
want
like,
connectedness.
yeah.
You want to leave a legacy behind that people go, yeah, like I felt him, it was good.
Yeah.
Like, it was not like, oh yeah, there's Jaxson who never come around and never.
Well, even with the speeches with Logan, like it's like half of it's like all those memories. It's like, wow, he had so many good memories, so many good things happened with him. And I'm like, if I died, would people say nice things about me? Like at a funeral?
I
like,
wouldn't.
I don't. Not that I want them to say nice things, but it's like I want to create more of those pictures in people's head.
Yeah, I agree.
You
with
know?
you. No, I think it's good. Well, teach me more. Yeah. But one of the people after the funeral, because a lot of people at the funeral, one of the people after the funeral came up and said, "I've never seen so much footage of someone." Yeah. Like we got like 40,000 hours of it.
I noticed that. It's fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because
it
nobody actually films their life, really.
No.
Like, no one films himself at all, pretty much.
Yeah, it was
He
like
had a whole life of footage.
The whole life of footage
amazing.
since he was, I don't know,
Amazing.
what, 4, 5?
five. Yeah. Oh, it's like even making that. Like everyone goes, it would have been really hard. It was hard, but it was nice. Like it was so. All I did for the last like 4 days or whatever, 5 days making that was just watch all the nice things that happened, and it was kind of good.
I have to admit, I do go through anger. Like I do go through anger, and then I get upset, and
Me
then
too,
I'm like,
yeah.
"What the hell?" Because I'm like, I'm angry that he went.
Yeah.
Like I'm angry with that part. I'm like, freaking little bugger.
Yeah.
Like, why did he do that? Like I would have been there in 2 seconds. Like, and I was just. I think the part with myself is I was waiting for him to, because Jaxson did the same thing. Exactly, you didn't die.
No, yeah,
You're
but
still
I was,
here.
yeah,
But
I nearly did though.
He nearly did.
Nearly did.
He nearly did. And I'm like, Jaxson went the same way. And then it took 2 years, and Jaxson rang me one day, said, "Dad, I just want to sort life out." And I'm like, "Let's do it," because you can't make people do it. You know, like, and the more you sort of push down that direction, you're like, because Jaxson wasn't ready to stop drinking, drugging, all that, and his life was just going so off track. It wasn't funny, and I'm like, it was hard to watch, like so hard to watch. But as a parent, you're like, I have other people that I know that they've just kept giving their kids stuff, and their kids have like got into like well into adult, and they're just similar. They stay the same, and it's such a hard thing.
It's almost like for people with the tendency of like, I want to go this way and be a bit naughty for a bit. It's almost like it becomes a hit rock bottom, and then
bounce.
go, okay, all right, I'm ready to be a bit normal again.
That's what
same with my brother. And
your
a lot of
brother as well. Your brother did the same thing.
Like we kicked him out for 2 years.
Yeah.
Come back and I'm so sorry. I don't know why I did that.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, come in.
Because I was always watching him from afar, and like when I say from afar, like always making sure they're doing whatever. And I said to Tara the other day, I said, I just wanted him to bounce off the bottom, and I would have grabbed him, you know, but he didn't bounce. It just, anyway, it's a hard thing to know what to do.
Well, it's the psychologist I was speaking to called it, I can't remember what the word was, a something fallacy. It's like a law almost. It's like once that happens in your brain, you go, oh, if I did this or if I did that, or I could have just gone and done this. And then he goes, because that's what I opened up with speaking to him, and he goes, yeah, but would you have? Or like, would it actually have? Or are you just making this in your brain?
What do you mean?
Like,
Sorry.
like
Would you have been there?
Like, no, it's more like if you did go there and say, let's completely get it on track, and like I could have saved him almost in your brain, but like if you went and like, would he have listened, or like would he have actually?
Oh, would he? Yeah.
Like, would he have been able to bounce back, sort of thing? It's more like
It was probably
in our heads we make up these things like it could have happened, but he called it this thing. He explained it a lot better. I'm not a psychologist.
I understand,
but yeah,
I know exactly what you're talking about. But it was probably more the readiness, like the humility side, because you know you can't tell someone who's on a path like that. You just can't tell someone, like they don't want to know. Like, I'll do this, and then 5 minutes later they're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like you went there. I was using you as an example. Like at that time when you rang and said, "Dad, let's sort this thing out together." Well, I'm like, let's do it, you know. And then to your credit, you turn your whole life back around.
Yeah,
it's really good. I mean, it's easier not to go there, but so anyway, now it's what do we do from here? So I think that's the question, and we'll see over time. But can I talk about the Icemen for two seconds on top of this? So there's some, I don't know if you've seen them, but I think this is where Wim Hof actually got this idea. So Wim Hof's wife killed herself. I don't know if you know his story.
Maybe summarise it.
Really interesting. Same. That's that. She killed himself with all 4 kids or something. one day he was there and his wife died, and he's like, what I do? He said the pain was so intense, and for a year or two or however, I don't know the time frame, but it's a couple of years, and then he was like, what am I going to do with this? And then decided to, use this pain and propel himself into what he is now. But I think he got the idea from the people this is the coldest place on earth. And then these men, there's a few of them, they're called walruses, or they call themselves the walruses. They go out into the snow is like as high as this house, and they dig down and they get into the lake and they put a hole in and they jump in, minus 50 degrees it is. And they hold the thermometer up and everything. It's amazing. And this guy's been doing it for 30 years. I reckon this is where Wim Hof got the idea from. I don't know for sure, I'm only guessing. But those guys get up every day, dig, and the water is so cold that they dig it out and it's like that and it freezes straight away. It is that cold. It goes, look, it's freezing straight away. It's amazing. So to do that in your mind, you could quite easily go, I'm not going to go today. It's minus 55 outside. I'm not going. But they see the other side of it. So they're laying in the snow. So what they do is they go in there, they go under the water, they stay in there for a while, they do their thing, they put this, you can't actually not put slippers on and gloves because you get frostbite straight away. And then they go and roll in the snow. And they roll around. They call that part acupuncture. And then they get dressed and go. And literally all their things are all their snot's all frozen everywhere. And they've just got a container sitting in the middle of nowhere that they have this walrus sign on there. But it's how you look at things is the difference. They look at it as complete health. They say they never get sick for the pain of getting in this thing every day, waking up at 4:30 in the morning, going down to the lake in the dark, jumping in, doing their thing. Most people would say, not for me. Not for me. It's too uncomfortable. I just can't be bothered. But think about the other side of it. There's this huge benefit in the process of the pain, like huge benefit that they see. So it's how you look at something. And I'm not minimising what we've been through at all. I'm like looking at them. I watched the video, I was amazed. I was like, what's the mindset of these guys? They're probably 60 years old. There's a couple of younger ones that are starting now, and they're teaching them how to do it. But think about the mindset of those people. Getting up, rain, snow, things, whatever, jump in a hole in this lake that looks like murky as all hell, because the camera goes underwater as well. And I think life is a bit like that. You're always going to have something that you've got to deal with, always. Whether it's something that hasn't happened at work, a partner that doesn't want to be with you, someone that dies in your life, whatever. There's always going to be something. Tell me a week when you've had nothing to deal with. Never. But it's the times that you have something to deal with that you actually see what really you're capable of, what really life, that makes you focus. So these guys, I think they're intensely focused, getting up every morning and going, I'm going to the lake. I know what it's like with an ice bath at 8:30 at night, and I hadn't done it yet. You start to psych yourself out of it. I don't really need to.
And the process from here to get in it is probably like, what, a minute?
A minute.
Not like get up, go down, dig it out. That's probably like a 45-minute process.
Exactly. Tara got ready in a cosy the other day, yesterday, get in an ice bath. Something happened, Summer cried a bit, la la la. She half didn't want to get in, half did the cardio. She just said, no, I'm not doing it. I said, don't worry, just do it. I'll hold the baby. No, don't. It doesn't matter now, I don't want to do it. Because it's just easier not to sometimes. I know what that feels like. I so know what it feels like. But you can make a choice. Everything's a moment-by-moment choice, what Jaxson said then. Moment-by-moment choice. Your ex-wife's in court with you. Like, I'm going to talk about this because I understand it. Give her what she wants. That's my advice. Give her what she wants. Get on with life and be happy. You have no problems. People are probably going to write in now. Oh, that's ridiculous advice, isn't it? I know what it's like. I sold a part of my business. I gave Shelley more money. Why? Because I care about her. I care about the kids. Didn't have to. Look, that's way after our divorce. I just felt it was the right thing to do. I want her to be comfortable, me to be comfortable, everyone to get along as best we can. So it's like moment by moment choice. What's the best choice in each? Jaxson could not have said it better. What's the best choice in each moment? Jaxson, I bet you used everything you had not to go drink.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do a few lines of Coke. You would have felt heaps better.
Way better.
For a minute.
Yeah. It was that next day. I feel like if I didn't have you in my ear for the last 3 years, like, the next day, Jaxson, the next day is going to suck.
Yeah.
Like, if I didn't have that, I would have been like straight to the pub that night probably.
Yeah.
To drink. Just because that's probably the only way I knew how to deal with it.
Yeah.
But from being around you the last 2 years, it's like I know kind of how to deal with things a little bit better now.
Yeah.
And I feel like it would have been a lot worse.
And I reckon that's my job out of all of this. Not only to achieve my stuff that I've gone, okay, what's possible now? What are we going to do? What are we going to do with this moment in time to use the best we physically can? Albeit I wish Logan was here. But that's my job. I want the kids to look at me and go, and in 30 years' time, and something else happens to them, they're like, I watched my dad go through it. I had someone else say to me on the phone yesterday, their kid died when they were 17 or something, and he said to me, my mum was never the same. Never the same. And I understand that. But do you let it cripple you, or do you let it catapult you? And like these icemen every day, getting up, what a great example. The mindset around that, the snow, I'm not joking, above the lake would be at least 8 foot high. So they've got to dig down every day. Like, it's amazing. They jump in. Why? Because they're attracted or propelled by the purpose of better. That's what they're doing. Their purpose of better. The purpose of better health. They're not the fittest guys in the world, but their whole thing is we never get sick. Is it worth jumping in a lake for 2 minutes and getting out and rolling around in the snow, or sitting in bed and just, yeah, sure, you might be warm and more comfortable, but what's the outcome of that? Comfort? What happens in your comfort zone? Zero? You know, sometimes pain is the best thing that can physically happen in your life because it makes you self-assess. You know, okay, what is that about? What am I going to do with it? And I think pain can be a great motor in your life. So now the real question is, with all of this that's happened around us and all of these examples we've seen over time, what are we going to do with it? You know, what's life going to look like in the future? I think all that matters now is a choice-by-choice moment for continual better. That's it. What's the best choice I can make right now? What's the best choice I can make right now? Go fix up some cracks in your relationships. If I'm really honest, we had a lot of cracks in our relationship across family, like extended family and all that. Everyone was standing there together. You know, everyone was standing there together. Is it perfect? No. But we're going to make it the best it physically can be now. You know, we learned a big lesson out of all of that. But from now, it's up to us to say, what sort of life do we want? Who do we need to be? And what's it going to take to get there? I'm going to leave nothing on the table. I'm going to give it 150%.